Black America doesn't recognize it because we got so much religion around us, but most of us are idol worshipers. We worship cars, we worship tools, we worship status, we worship college degrees, we worship celebrities. We don't really worship God. So we have to make sure that we don't mistake tokenism for progress. The only time we stand up is when white people make us upset. And if the only time you're going to do something for yourself is when your enemy provokes you, then your enemy controls your destiny. So what is freedom? For me, freedom is the ability to determine the destiny of your people without outside interference. We've never had freedom. We've had degrees of privilege and degrees of autonomy. We've never been free. The slave that is whipped the easiest is the slave that will whip the most. If you never push back against what's being done to you, it only gets worse. I don't belong to the Democratic Party plantation, and I don't belong to the Republican Party plantation. Both plantations burn me down.
Jeez.
I want black power. I don't want no black president. I want black power. The only difference between the Democrats and the Republicans is their strategy. They both have the same agenda for black people, and that's to marginalize you. The Republicans tell you they hate you, and the Democrats act like they like you, but they really hate you too. Every problem in black America was introduced by the white power structure, but it's been perpetuated because of our docility and refusal to organize and push back. White power could never be successful against black people without the participation of black people.
Black American public schools are being gutted, voters are being challenged, our pain is being publicized, and we're not in a reboot, we're in a backlash. The question today aren't cute, they're not commercial, it's critical. Are we thriving or just surviving? Our black boys are being raised to lead or just labeled as drugged and discarded? Are our sisters empowered or exhausted? And who's really shaping our future for us? Or is the system still trying to erase us? Today, I sit down with a man who has never been scared to tell us the raw truth. He's an educator, psychologist, activist, and Pan-African warrior. Dr. Umar Tunde is in the house today. From the battlefields of the classroom to the front lines of culture, this is Strategic Moves with Kenn Dowell, and I'm your host. And let's get started. I want to welcome you to our program, Dr. Umar.
Glad to be here.
I want you to tell everybody your name because I butchered it in
That's
the beginning.
all right.
I've been
I don't mind.
and the
I
whole
don't
family
mind.
been practicing. On the TV, I'm walking around the house and I'm playing it like
Yes,
saying it, and
Yes,
I got
sir.
an opportunity to do it, and I didn't get it right. So tell everybody, what's that name?
Tunde Oguntade.
Anguntade.
It's Yoruba. Ifa Tunde means destiny has returned, and Oguntade means the spirit of iron wears the crown.
Wow. And let's talk about that when we talk about the names. Why do you think names are important? And why? I know your name started out as you were Jermaine
Shoemaker, I was born.
Correct.
My father changed it after my parents were married to Umar Johnson. And then I received my Yoruba name on November 19th of 2011 at the Oyotunji African Village in South Carolina.
And why did you feel it was important to change your name?
Actually, I had received a traditional divination from a priest of African spirituality. And in African culture, names are very important. When babies are born, you're not even given a name initially the first couple days because they have to do a divination to find out exactly why the Almighty God sent you to earth. What is your purpose here? And so your name normally relates to your purpose. So your name isn't just chosen by your mama or your dad. It actually has to come from the Almighty through a select channel of energies, angels, if you would, who are sent here to help us fulfill our destiny and our promise to the Most High.
And I heard you talk on another show, and you talked about Oguntade.
Right. So when we're born, just like if I was to draw a parallel, it would be the angels of the Bible or the Quran, right? Everyone is born under the protection of a guardian angel. In Yoruba culture, they're called Orisha. And one of those angels would be Ogun. Ogun is the spirit of truth and iron. He's the energy that we call on when it's time to go to war for righteousness' sake. So he's the energy responsible for spiritual warfare, when you're battling demons, negativity, evil people, as well as physical warfare out in the general world, such as the protection of the community. So that is the spirit that protects me. My guardian angel is Ogun. There's others. There's Shango. Shango is the energy of the inner passion of transformation to go from who you are to what you're supposed to be. Shango is also the leader, and he's actually the custodian of oratory. So before I actually got my divination to find out I was a son of Ogun, as we call it, when your guardian angel, you're the son of or daughter of, they thought I was Shango because I'm an orator. They said, he's a Shango man. He got to be Shango. Shango also oversees political activism. So they said, Umar got to be Shango. And I'm a Leo. Most Shango traits are associated with Leo, but I was Ogun. And I know why, though. Because Ogun is the warrior. Shango is the leader. Although I am a leader, I'm more of a warrior than a leader. I needed Ogun to help me open up some of these doors to save our people.
And the Ogun is what you believe is the spirit that protects you, the spirit that keeps you warring and fighting for the people.
Yes,
what
sir.
what made you feel as if you wanted to take that burden on? That's a huge burden for anybody to just say, hey, you know what? Because you're getting a lot of backlash.
Yeah, but there's always more love than hate. It's just that the haters are more consistent. My supporters are quiet, responsible, mature. The haters are belligerent and immature. And so they have to constantly push the hate because there's so much love that if they don't stay active, it'll dissipate. So the haters are few, but they are consistent. But in terms of your question, for me, I was born into it to an extent because, not that my parents were activists, but in the 3rd grade is when I decided I wanted to be a psychologist. My father was in the Marine Corps. We lived in Jacksonville, North Carolina. That's why I decided I wanted to be a psychologist. When my parents divorced, I get back to Philadelphia. The elementary school that I attend has a Black history class. It's not district-wide, it's only my school. And so in that Black history class, that was 4th and 5th grade, so that's 9 and 10 years old, there was a Black history public speaking contest. That was my first time in front of a crowd. I still remember it to this day. And I won 1st place both years, and I never shut up since then. 6th grade, 6th or 7th, my father took me to my first family reunion, Baltimore, Maryland. I'll never forget it because I jumped in the swimming pool at the day's end, not knowing how to swim. I went in the deepest water. I said, I'm not going to be scared today.
Wow.
And I almost drowned.
Wow.
And my sister almost let me drown because I almost pulled her under. And I saw 2 white breasts. A snow bunny came and saved me. So whoever that snow bunny is, thank you for saving the Prince of Pan-Africanism. I grabbed her breast and she got me out that water.
I was just sitting here thinking when you was telling the story,
Yes,
I was
sir.
like, I wonder if it was a white woman who
It was
came
a
to
white
save
woman
him.
who
When
saved
he
me at the pool.
drowned or would he have been
Yes, sir.
saved?
Yes,
So you
sir.
actually took the help.
I grabbed it, well, you know.
Okay.
This is pre-adolescent, so you're not even,
Right, so you ain't even there yet.
I'm not even there yet. I
Okay,
just
all
saw a life preserver, 2 breasts, and I grabbed it. And she got me out the water. But the irony of that is that same weekend at the first family reunion is when I found out I was related to Frederick Douglass.
Really?
So we're walking in the back of the church, and there was a display of Frederick Douglass's artifacts, his shoes, his glasses, his coat, his Bible, so forth and so on. And I asked my father, I said, why's all this Frederick Douglass stuff here? And he said, because you're related to him. And I'm like, wow, that just blew me. He said it so matter-of-factly, it didn't seem like it meant much to him. It meant everything to me because I'm in Black history class. I know exactly who Frederick Douglass is. Right. You say I related to him, so I started going to all the family reunions that I could. So that really gave me a sense of honor and obligation. Now, the Garvey building is only a few blocks away from my elementary school. I don't join it till the end of undergrad in college, but it was always there. My mother bought my tennis shoes right next to the Garvey house for 12 years straight.
Wow.
We never knew it was the Garvey house until they painted it red, black, and green. That's when it caught my attention. And I saw Elder Johnny Gossett. He's an ancestor now. And he said, can I help you? And I said, what are y'all doing in this red, black, and green building? I'm the president of the Black Student Union at Millersville University. What's going on? He said, come back Sunday at 3 o'clock. And it's been 25 years.
So I know.
So I think my road was created because it was right there. If I don't live in that neighborhood, if we don't come back to Philly at that time, if my mother doesn't buy my shoes at that store, you follow what I'm saying? So I can see how divine providence, destiny has returned.
Wow. And that's what destiny, Ifa means.
That's what it means.
Wow.
Ifa means destiny.
Okay.
And that's the name of the spiritual system of the Yoruba. And the reason it's called Ifa, it speaks to the fact that all of us choose a destiny at the feet of the Almighty in heaven. And when you come to earth, you have to find and fulfill your destiny, which means no matter how successful you might be in this world, if you're not fulfilling the destiny that you chose at the feet of the Most High, you'll still feel incomplete. This is why we got black millionaires and black billionaires. They got the whole world at their feet, but they still feel empty because that was not your purpose. You wasn't sent here to just drive around in fancy cars and eat at fancy restaurants. God didn't send you here for that. There's something deeper you're supposed to do, but you're so distracted with the materialism, you can't find yourself back to the right path.
So what's your suggestion on how you take the steps to getting that?
I would say it would be threefold. Number one, coming from a psychological perspective, we're often distracted from what we're supposed to do by the demons that have been introduced into our life because of the tragedies and traumas that you go through as a child and as an adult. So racism can be a distractor. Domestic abuse can be a distractor. Some people suffer from child molestation. There's all types of poverty, crime, mass incarceration. Dealing with these everyday issues distract you from putting enough attention towards your spiritual destiny. We might go to church Sunday. We might go to the mosque on Friday. Even in traditional African culture, you might go to the temple and worship once or twice a week, but you're still not giving enough attention to your relationship with supreme consciousness. To make a long story short, we put this world first before that world. In Yoruba, we have a saying that says, heaven is home. Earth is the marketplace. You just visiting here. That's where you live. So when you come here, you need to stay focused and get your job done because you won't be here forever. Another thing that we choose in heaven is how long we're going to be here. Not everybody's supposed to live a long life. You got some people who choose a short destiny. They come for 21 years. They may have only came to teach you a lesson. They may only come to teach me a lesson. They may have been born to be in a car accident to wake their parents up from the path that they was walking. So destinies are completely different. Some people have short ones. Some people have very long destinies. But you're not guaranteed to live out that destiny if your decisions are not in alignment with your highest purpose. So in other words, if I was sent here to be the next Dr. King, but because of poor character, low integrity, and bad decisions, I don't have to meet my destiny. And I could have chosen to be on earth for 100 years old, but because of my poor decisions, I check out at 30.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
interesting.
We co-create
Right.
our destiny. So when people say, whatever's for you, nobody can take from you, that's partially true. If you're on your path, nobody can take it from you. But sometimes we become our own worst enemies because of a lack of spiritual discipline, so you can destroy your own destiny. Ain't nobody got to do it for you.
So you think spiritual discipline?
Oh, spiritual discipline is the key. In fact, I would say a big reason why African people struggle the way we struggle from a spiritual perspective is we have become idol worshipers. Black America doesn't recognize it because we got so much religion around us, but most of us are idol worshipers. We worship cars, we worship clothes, we worship status, we worship college degrees, we worship celebrities. We don't really worship God, we profess it. But when you look at our behavior, we're worshiping everything but the Almighty. There's no way you could have poverty in Black America the way you have it when we are a $2 trillion people and you got black people living on the streets. When's the last time you seen a homeless Chinese? When's the last time you seen a homeless Jew? When's the last time you seen a homeless Mexican? You don't, because the community provides for them. Black people are capitalists, and there's nobody who's ever going to make it into the kingdom of heaven being a capitalist.
So let's jump right into our program then. What we're here to talk all about is whether black folks in 2025, Black America, are we thriving or just surviving?
I think we're drowning.
Oh.
I don't think we're thriving or surviving. I think we're drowning. You look at the suicide rate, black girls, fastest growing suicide rate since COVID, right? Historically, the highest suicide rate in America was middle-class black men, which is interesting, middle-class white males, which is interesting because so many black people want to pattern their life off of middle-class white America. When that successful white man who you want to be, they have the highest suicide rate in American history. Why do you want to be him? You see that? Now, our girls, even though the white man still rules, middle-class white man as highest suicide group, black girls have been the fastest growing since COVID. And we know why, because during the COVID quarantine, when children couldn't go to school, our girls were stuck in homes where there was sex abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse, sibling abuse, right? Absenteeism, abandonment. Even though public schools are horrible, right? It was the only place where a lot of our daughters could go to just get a fresh opportunity to think through their problems, right? I'm looking forward to go to school, not to learn, but just to get some peace. COVID trapped them in a house. They couldn't even go out. So that quadrupled the trauma, and a lot of our daughters still have not regained their footing since then.
Jeez. There's a lot of truth to that as well. And I believe when you say that you think we're drowning, you don't see that none of the successes that's been happening among some of our elite African Americans puts us in a position that you think we're thriving, or you still think those are just very small steps in the bigger picture?
I believe then that begs the next question, is the black bourgeoisie a blessing or a curse? Because see, I would argue that the black elite class was engineered by the white power structure to be used as a buffer against the rest of us. In other words, when black people scream racism, we'll point to the billionaires and millionaires and say, there can't be no racism in America because how did they make it? They made it because you allowed them. See, the argument about racism is not that you don't give opportunity, you don't give equal opportunity to all. So there will always be a couple successful blacks. There was a couple successful blacks during slavery, but did that erase the fact that you're participating in the worst crime in human history? So we have to make sure that we don't mistake tokenism for progress.
Interesting. Interesting. Do you think we need to refine what rebellion look like for African Americans in this new Trump era?
I think we can. Here's the thing. You got rebellion, you have revolt, you have revolution.
Okay.
Black people rebel
That's correct.
temporarily. It's a temper tantrum. It never evolves into a revolution for change. It's easy to burn something down. It's easy to tear something down. Breonna Taylor, Michael Brown, Trayvon Martin, Philando Castile, Alton Sterling, Tamir Rice, right here, Freddie Gray, so forth. We marched, we protested, we rioted, we rebelled, but there was never a revolution. There wasn't even a reformation. Reformation says we're going to fix the institutions that we got, although they're not perfect. Let's make them work for black people. Let's reform Cleveland police system. Let's reform Cleveland public schools. Let's reform Cleveland's municipal judicial system if you believe they can be reformed. Revolution says we're going to tear them down and rebuild them. Black people are neither reformists or revolutionaries. We are reactionaries.
That's
the
correct.
only time we stand up is when white people make us upset. And if the only time you're going to do something for yourself is when your enemy provokes you, then your enemy controls your destiny. Why don't we build? Because you got to have love to do that. There's not enough love amongst us to do what's right before something wrong happens.
Why is that?
The self-hatred. I think it's also the psychological hopelessness, and I think it's also the helplessness. Black people have been suffering so long, so hard, that a lot of us, despite our profession of faith in the Almighty, a lot of us have psychologically checked out of the freedom struggle. We might celebrate Kwanzaa, we might celebrate Black history, but guess what? Deep down inside, we don't think we can ever overcome white supremacy. Which is why if we're really going to organize, if you take Ohio, if you're really going to organize Cleveland, Youngstown, Cincinnati, Columbus, Akron, Dayton, you got to separate those who profess to want freedom from those who genuinely are willing to fight and struggle for it, because a lot of us has given up. If Dr. King lived today, I'm not sure he would have the impact. If the Honorable Marcus Garvey was here, I'm not sure he would have the impact. If Medgar Evers was here, who died today, by the way, Medgar Evers was assassinated June 12th. If he was here, I'm not sure if he could get our people together, because you got to have the movement and you got to have the messenger. All great movements, you had the leader, but the people were ready. No matter how good the leader is, if the people not ready, he can't move them.
So what is freedom?
For me, freedom is the ability to determine the destiny of your people without outside interference. We've never had freedom. We've had degrees of privilege and degrees of autonomy. We've never been free.
All right, man. You can take us there all over the place. I got to keep us on our
Sure,
program.
no problem. We
Good
good,
Lord.
we good.
I can sit here and just listen to you. In this environment where policy is rolling back rights for our community and our communities are under surveillance, what's the most urgent enemy to the Black community, Black progress, let's say? What's the most urgent enemy to the Black progress? The system, the media, or our own comfort zones?
Black people can never be their worst enemy because we are not organized enough to oppress ourselves.
Okay.
We control no industries. We dominate no institutions. We don't create diseases. They do. We don't control the school system. They do. We don't control the economy. They do. So the number one enemy is systemic white supremacy. Hands down, right?
Okay.
But we are its number one accomplice because we do nothing about it. Frederick Douglass said, the slave that is whipped the easiest is the slave that will whip the most.
Mm.
If you never push back against what's being done to you, it only gets worse. I take it to psychology. Behavioral psychology is based on the premise that all behavior is a function of the consequences. The consequences.
Okay.
So if there are no consequences for police killing black people, it'll only get worse. You look at what Brother Rodney Hinton Jr. did over in Cincinnati. People say, wait a minute, that was a bit extreme, okay? But guess what? From a behavioral psychology perspective, if he doesn't do that, police never stop and think twice before they kill another black person.
Do you believe that,
I
though?
absolutely believe it.
Even though he killed the innocent guy?
Innocent according to whose definition? Because if you are a police officer working for one of the most corrupt institutions in America who have the greatest history of oppressing black people, how can any police officer be innocent?
Interesting. Let's go into this. If Trump's agenda is to suppress and distract, what's our counter move?
Here's the thing. Before I look at my enemies being responsible for where I am, let me look at the people who claim to be about my freedom, justice, and equality. Before I go to Donald Trump, I'm looking at the Congressional Black Caucus. I'm looking at these 59 Negroes down in Washington, D.C.,
Okay.
U.S. reps and 3 senators. Most of y'all been there over a quarter of a century, and y'all haven't delivered any serious tangibles to the black community at all. Why do we have a Congressional Black Caucus who's supposed to be fighting for us and delivered us nothing? Forget Trump. You delivered us nothing under Joe Biden. You delivered us nothing under Barack Obama. You delivered us nothing under Bill Clinton. You delivered us nothing under Jimmy Carter. So before I talk about Trump, let's look at when we had a Democrat in there and we still got nothing. When you look at it, for me, and I was a political science major in undergrad, I don't see a big gap between what the Democrats do for blacks and what the Republicans do for blacks. I see a big gap in the propaganda from the Democratic Party plantation slaves who get paid to sell the Democratic policy to black America. But at the end of the day, which party has a solution for mass incarceration? At the end of the day, which party has a solution for miseducation? At the end of the day, which party has a solution for homelessness and gentrification? At the end of the day, which party has a solution for police genocide? At the end of the day, which party supports reparations? Neither one of them. I don't belong to the Democratic Party plantation, and I don't belong to the Republican Party plantation. May both plantations burn in hell.
Jesus.
I want black power. I don't want no black president. I want black power. I don't want no black mayor. I want black power. I don't want no black governor. They give us these tokens. And black people take a break when we see a black face in a high place, failing to recognize that that's just a puppet. There's a ventriloquist behind the scenes you cannot see.
So you figure we just don't vote? Who do you vote?
No, you organize your vote.
Okay.
Here's the biggest reason why black people never get anything.
Okay.
Even when we vote en masse,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
The black vote has to be organized. We are a numerical minority, okay, amongst a white majority who psychologically weaponizes every other immigrant group against us. So when the Latinos get here, they're weaponized against us. The Arabs, the Chinese, the East Indians, they're all weaponized against us. So you might as well see everybody as white. A big mistake that we have is we push this multiculturalism to our own detriment because these other groups don't fight for black people, speak for black people, or stand with black people, but they will exploit black people for your benefits. So we got to get out of this multiculturalism. Don't nobody multiculturalize with us. Now, getting back to the question, organize the black vote. Now you have a power block. It's okay if you're in the minority. You know why? Because them 20,000 votes you got, that 800,000 votes you got, even though you are a minority, you have enough influence to tilt the direction of the election because elections have been won on less votes than the complete population of Cleveland itself. But it only works if you unite the black vote along an African people, black community platform. You cannot exploit Democrat, exploit Republican. Vote for us. And then you have the power to sit down with the Republican presidential nominee or gubernatorial nominee, Democratic presidential nominee or gubernatorial nominee. This is how many votes we got organized. You tell them, this is what we got. What you gonna deliver? And if you don't deliver, your next term, you're automatically up out of there.
So that's what they do, year after year.
We don't do that.
No, black folks organize, but to your point, Because what I'm hearing you say, because I know that's what we do, we organize, but maybe we're not asking for the right thing. Is
And
what
you're
saying.
not organizing for the black community. You're organizing for Democrats
That's
and
what I'm saying.
No,
Yeah, okay.
for us.
Okay.
The hell with them for us. The only difference between the Democrats and the Republicans is their strategy. They both have the same agenda for black people, and that's to marginalize you. The Republicans tell you they hate you, and the Democrats act like they like you, but they really hate you too.
So
when Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida signed that executive order to eliminate the teaching of slavery and racism in Florida schools, Joe Biden said he's not going to challenge it. You know why Joe Biden said he's not going to challenge it? Because Joe Biden spent most of his life, what? Fighting against school desegregation. Fighting. Joe Biden was one of the greatest enemies of the black community when it came to school desegregation. But because we got a short memory and Barack Obama said, vote for him, your black Jesus, everybody ran out there and voted for him when neither your black Jesus or your white Jesus did anything to save you from the white devil.
So you don't believe that Democrats at all, and what I'm
at all
are doing anything to
What
help
are they
the black
doing? Give me
community?
some. Now, let me give you the 5 problems.
Okay.
Because for me, nothing else matters if you ain't tackling the majors.
Okay.
Miseducation, what's their solution? Mass incarceration, what's their solution? Police genocide, what's their solution? Homelessness and gentrification. Mind you, we have the highest black homelessness rate in America since Dr. King walked the earth.
That's correct.
And while you have all these black people homeless, what did Joe Biden and Kamala Harris do? Bring in tens of thousands of migrants to usurp the resources in predominantly black communities, giving homes to people who are not even citizens while black people sleep on the street. And you want me to vote blue, red? Go to hell. I don't want either. I'm voting red, black, and green.
So until we can vote red, black, and green, what you do?
You organize the black vote and use your leverage with either candidate. It's real simple formula. Everybody else do it. Black
No,
people.
but my point is, this is the problem. Because there's a problem in that.
No, it ain't.
And I'm going to tell you what the problem is.
Ain't no problem in
The
it.
problem in that is that in order for that to happen, somebody has to organize the red, black, and green.
Okay.
Because the message that needs to be given isn't given by the messengers. We just talked about it.
Okay.
Because you mentioned all the congressional folks, they're not bringing the message.
Correct.
All right.
And why are they not bringing the message?
For whatever
I'm going
reason.
to bring the fault back to the community, though. This is where we are at fault.
Okay.
Because we don't finance our own candidates.
Okay.
See, if you
There
say
you
you
go.
want to be
There
the
you
next
go.
mayor of
I
Cleveland, right?
understand
If
that.
the black community
Understand
does
that.
not finance you,
That's correct.
and you got to go and get your money from the Democratic Party. You got to go and get your money from Walmart. You got to go and get your money from Mercedes-Benz. You got to go and get your money from the bodegos around the community. That's whose agenda you got to push. The reason black politicians are not free to push a black agenda is they were financed by a non-black agenda. Voting is not the most important thing we do. Financing your own candidates is the most important thing you do. But we don't do that.
That's correct.
Because we're economically disorganized, and any economically disorganized people are automatically politically disempowered.
Since you're scrapping my whole little agenda of questions I have,
I want black power.
I'm gonna go to something there because you mentioned something in one of your interviews. I was watching you the other day, and you were talking about the school, and you were talking about building your school and
Yes,
what
sir.
you was going to do at your school. But what I found interesting, and we understand that, and let's get this out the way.
Sure.
What's going on with the school?
You know what's interesting about the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy is it's so controversial when the reality of it is so simple. So we started raising money for the school in 2014. We purchased the school in 2019. Not one school, 2 of them.
Okay.
Not 2 buildings, 4. We own the whole block outright. It was a former black charter school, built from the ground, renovated on a $16 million project. We got it in 5 years. That's a miracle. So 2019, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. February 19th of this year was 6 years that we had the school, right? So people say, why it still ain't up and running in 6 years? First of all, renovations take time. And second, you got to deal with corrupt black contractors. We were scammed, ripped off, taken advantage of. You understand? We lost plenty of money trying to put money back into the pockets of our people. Since the money came from the black community, I wanted to give it back to the black community. But having wait that many years, being scammed that many times, I had to hire Caucasians to come in and do the work. They overcharged us, but at least they finished. So where are we right now? All the renovations are done. We down to 2 things. We got to rekey our classrooms, and we got to tile the floors. And the only reason why we got to tile the floors is we had to take out those old rugs that were sitting there, right? So once we retile the floor and rekey the classes, we ready for inspection. Plumbing done, HVAC done, roof done, electric done, everything done. but them floors. So we at the finish line. If all goes well, we may have a community grand opening September 20th and 21st. And I'm choosing those dates in particular because it's an eclipse and I'm a Leo. Also, Kwame Nkrumah, the first president of Ghana, his birthday is celebrated on the 21st, and I just got my Ghanaian citizenship in January.
So I wanted to talk about the school in that regards, because what I found interesting in the conversation you were having with them is, and tying this back to the community.
Yes, sir.
Supporting all the other necessary things and all of that. What I found in that conversation you said was that you had, with all the millionaires that we have in our black community, athletes, pro athletes, millionaires, actors, successful business people, because we got successful business. Everybody don't have to be an athlete or any of that stuff. You said that none of these people has helped to contribute to what you're doing.
I know plenty of celebrities, none have written a check.
None of them have written a check. And so when I look at that, and you mentioned a lot of them can write a $2 million check, $3 million check with you.
Easy.
What's the biggest
They spend
reason
it in a nightclub?
why they won't give it to you?
2 reasons. Number 1, fear of retribution. Understand something. Every black celebrity lives upon the goodwill of white people. They can destroy them overnight. You can't be a celebrity unless white people approve of you. They are either your fan base or they are your financiers. So no celebrity in America is free. You try to get free, they'll Bill Cosby you. Right? And they all know this. So if I write a check to Dr. Umar and I got a white banker, white publicist, white lawyer, keep in mind, most of these celebrities, not all, but most of them are surrounded by white folks. Their whole team is white. They can't do anything in the dark. You follow me? If I write that check to Dr. Umar, what type of pushback am I going to get? That's the fear. So fear is number 1. Number 2, ego. And what I mean by that is most of our celebrities, whenever they do something for us, they need to brag about it. They need to be worshiped for it. They need to give me a big check and staying on the news. You can't help Dr. Umar like that because I don't mess with mainstream white America. I'm grassroots. You got to do it, and the only reward you get is knowing in your heart you did something to help your race. But because we live in a show-off culture, without integrity, if I can't broadcast it, why would I do it at all? But I'm going to take the opposite.
Okay.
It might be in my destiny to have not received any financing from celebrities. You know why? Because the minute I take a check from a black celebrity, and they get caught up in something that I cannot defend, I become complicit in it because I can't speak against it. Dr. Umar's most powerful weapon is my tongue, my freedom of speech. I don't owe nobody nothing. I don't belong to no secret societies, nothing. I am free and clear to serve the Most High and the black community. And because of that, if I get that check from that celebrity, they get caught doing something wrong, look how that blows back on FDMG Academy. So it may very well have been the intent from the beginning for me to build this school with people pennies and not black millionaire dollars.
So I know one of the things that you're trying to do is you're not going to receive any federal
No government. No federal, no.
And so with that being the case, and with all of the fact that we can't get these celebrities or any people do what they're doing in that regard, how you figure the school is going to stay sustainable?
It's interesting when I get that question because we have a history of independent black schools going back to slavery.
Okay.
There was a gentleman in the audience at Northeastern Illinois University in Chicago the day before yesterday. And he said, he was one of my detractors. Okay. He said, I did my research and I found out it takes $1.5 million to run a school, right? And I said, it takes $1.5 million to run a public school. And the reason it takes $1.5 million a year to run a public school is because they are predominantly manned by white women who have a union whose sole job is to increase their pay and benefits. Most money in Cleveland public schools, most money in Chicago public schools doesn't go to our children in the classroom. It goes to teachers and benefits. You see that? So at the FDMG Academy, the focus is the child, not the white teacher. So we don't have to worry about all these extra expenses that have nothing to do with educating our children.
But what about
and we will start small enough that will allow us to sustain the school with our budget. So if that means I do 1 second grade class, 1 third grade class, and 1 fourth grade class to start, so be it, and grow slow, which is what we intend to do anyway, because I can't grow large until I'm sure I can trust the people I've hired. You see that? Because once you get big, you don't have the opportunity to study your staff. You got to study them in your infancy to make sure you got the team that you can grow with. Because not everybody coming to FDMG to teach is coming here for benevolent reasons. FBI going to send people, coons and Negropeans going to send people. There's going to be an infiltration attempt. You follow me? So I got to ward that off. But we will only accommodate the student population that we can afford. But keep in mind, most of private school tuition,
that's correct,
outside of white teacher salary, is facilities, mortgage. We own those buildings. This ain't no mortgage. We bought them schools flat out. So we don't have no overhead like that. Once we could take care of our expenses, our insurance, pay our teachers, we good.
So you don't think the black teachers need to get some help too?
What do you mean?
And so you always say the white teachers. What about
No,
the black
because
teachers
white
too?
teachers,
There's
over
some
80,
black teachers there.
listen, we have the largest black teacher shortage in America since 1960. Yeah, we got black teachers, but they don't run these schools. I walk into any Cleveland public school, it's run by white women. They run it. It's called a white teacher mafia. That's what I call it. It's a group of lazy-ass white women who don't teach nobody's child, but they've been in the school district so long that even the principal's scared of them. And this is why there's no such thing as a real black principal. You can't be a real black principal when all your teachers is white and they belong to the teachers union. You know why? If you try to make them white teachers teach, they'll report you to the teachers union. The teachers union will call the principal and say, we got Dr. Umar over here and we hate black people public school in Cleveland. He's trying to make these white women teach and they calling him aggressive and authoritarian and he's disrupting their work environment. No, y'all just lazy and don't want to do your damn job. But because they hold the power, that principal will be relocated to another school or straight up fired.
So is
white women run black public schools.
Is that our fault again? Because we're in a community where you have cities like Chicago, cities like Cleveland, and others where they're predominantly African American. Most of the cases, if the mayor is in charge of the school, they're black. If you have school boards that you elect people, they're black. So what about that? Where you have, it's the community again who are allowing this to happen.
Never scapegoat the system though.
Okay.
The main problem is the system. White people don't introduce these problems, we don't have them. Every problem in black America was introduced by the white power structure, but it's been perpetuated because of our docility and refusal to organize and push back. But we can't scapegoat the system because that's primary responsibility. If the government doesn't bring crack in, we can't sell it. If they don't bring the guns in, we can't shoot. If they don't bring the miseducation in, we can't drop out. So we are secondary blame. Primary blame is the white power structure.
All right, all right. We're going to move on to the state of black boys, men and boys. Donald Trump education is gutting equality programs in school. Suspension for black boys are surging. Are we seeing a calculated reset of black males' potential or just the latest form of Jim Crow 3.0?
It's Jim Crow 5.0. First of all,
5.0.
the black male has always been public enemy number one in America.
Thank you.
They hate us more than they hate any terrorists.
Thank you.
Okay, let's just be very clear about that. And just so we're clear, Arabs are considered white for purposes of the U.S. Census. So you don't hate them that much because you count them with you. So now let's talk about black males, black boys in particular. If you want to destroy black men, you got to destroy black boys. That's number one. We got to disadvantage the black male as a child to make who? The black adult male economically irrelevant to the black woman. Let's be very clear about something. There is no black male, female discord. There is no back and forth on the internet. There is no gender war amongst black America if black men were never made economically irrelevant to black women. You follow me? The reason the women are angry is we're economically irrelevant to them. Not all of us, but as a group we are. They've used miseducation, mass incarceration to destroy the economic potential of black males. And when you come over to the school to prison pipeline, there's 6 cycles of death. There's miseducation, special education, psychiatric medication, juvenile incarceration, which leads to psychological frustration, stage 6, premature extermination.
Wow.
That's why public school exists, because it ain't teaching nobody. If white women were not the majority of America's public school teachers, public school would have been done. They would have been done away with it. It's only there because it provides jobs for white women. If most teachers in the black community were black, they would have been dropped public education.
Yeah. But wouldn't you believe that's because there's more white people than white? Or you believe they should balance that out to put more black teachers in black communities? Is that what you're saying?
75% of inner city Cleveland public schools are 90% black students.
Correct.
Why in the hell is a school that's 90% black got 90% white teachers when you know white women are not natural stakeholders in the success of a black child? All the research is clear. You got to be culturally competent to help a black child. The research is also clear. White teachers bring their beliefs about black people into the classroom, and it impacts the education of our children. Black children are not learning because they don't care about them. Listen, the most important ingredient in a class is not how modern the textbooks are, how much money you spend on the students. The most important ingredient in the classroom is the teacher's belief that the child can learn. When we talk about education, do you notice education is the only industry where the customer gets blamed for receiving a bad product? If you go and buy a car, that car don't work, you blame the car dealer. You go to the supermarket, you get some spoiled bread and milk, you blame the supermarket. But when your son come home and can't read, you don't blame the snow bunny, you blame Raheem. You know why? Because we not allowed to blame white women for nothing. Y'all the ones miseducating our kids. Y'all the ones medicating our kids. Y'all the ones special educating our kids. I'm a school psychologist. 25 years. I've been evaluating children for special ed. I'm the one who say they're autistic, reading disabled, math disabled, emotionally disturbed, intellectually disabled. That's my job. 90% of the children I've evaluated in my life, of all colors, not even just black, nothing was wrong with them. They didn't have a learning disability. They had a lazy disability.
So on that note, because I was going to get around to that, in your experience of dealing with kids, are we as the black community allowing our children to be classified in some of these cases?
We are. But again, primary blame, the system. Secondary blame, the community. The reason the community is to blame is we are too easy to co-sign the miseducation agenda. We are too easy to go along with the school to prison pipeline. Somebody call you up and say, yeah, your kindergartner can't read. We think he need an IEP, incarceration education preparation. Why would you let them evaluate your 6-year-old son? The white teacher says she think he can't read. So you just gonna go along with it? How about you try a tutor first? First of all, most of our kids in special ed never needed special ed. All they needed was extra help. And the reason we got a 4th, 5th grade syndrome, rest in peace to Jawanza Kunjufu from Chicago, because he just passed away, the brother who wrote the books Countering the Conspiracy to Destroy Black Boys, right? Exposed it first, and then I took it to the next level. Now, the reason we got a 4th and 5th grade syndrome is because when black boys get to the 4th and 5th grade, that's when they go through pre-adolescence. What happens when you go through pre-adolescence? You go from being a cute, quiet, huggable, innocent black boy, now your voice get a little deeper. You're a little bit more independent. You don't need no white woman hugging all over you no more. That's when she looks at you and she begins to see the big black menace that her community told her to never trust and be around. You see that? So that's when the white woman and the black boy starts knocking heads. Because from a psychological racist perspective, the purpose of education in the ghetto is to teach black boys you have no control over this community. White people run it. And that white woman's job is to break the spirit of the black boy. And if the black boy does not accept the breaking of his spirit by that white teacher, he ends up in juvenile hall.
All right, with no fathers, no funding, no safety net, are we preparing boys to lead, or are we leaving them to survive?
First of all, I'm very disappointed in black men because too many black men are raising black boys to be nothing but athletes and entertainers, and I'm absolutely sick of it. If I was in charge for the next 5 years, there would be no basketball or no football. Get rid of it. There's more to life than basketball and football. But when I speak at these career days inside of these schools, and I ask these young men, 25 years, guess what? It ain't changed yet. What you want to be when you grow up? Football, basketball, rap. And a big reason why is because professional black men have abandoned the inner city. The reason Lil Wayne is a role model, the reason LeBron James is a role model, and LeBron not a bad guy, but you're still an athlete. The reason he's a role model is because the dentists don't live in the hood no more. The school principal don't live in the hood no more. The entrepreneur don't live in the hood no more. A lot of the pastors don't live in the hood no more. They've abandoned our boys. And so the only place they can go to find role models who look like them is on the TV. And unfortunately, the only black men shown in a positive light on television by white society are our athletes and entertainers because they own them.
All right, let's go into this book here.
Yes, sir.
You created a book that kind of helps us get along and give us some real tools that your book is called Black Parent Advocate.
Yes, sir. Black
it-
Parent Advocate.
Well,
The
give
Art
us-
of War for Dealing with America's Public and Charter Schools.
Okay.
I was going to say The Art of War for Dealing with Snow Bunnies in America's Public and Charter Schools. Now, my first book, which is out of print right now because I'm adding a chapter on building FDMG.
Okay.
Because I got a whole story
Okay.
on FDMG.
How many books you done wrote?
Just two.
Okay.
Just two.
Okay.
And so in my first book, Psychoacademic Holocaust, I gave parents an overview of how the system operates so they can understand it and intervene. But I noticed that they still had a lot of questions. So I said, okay, I got to get even more specific and more technical. So I wrote this book so parents now have a how-to manual.
Okay.
That's a how-to manual.
Okay.
So for example, if you say, Dr. Umar, I have a son in preschool, he's 4. And the preschool is saying that they think he has autism.
Okay.
I don't want him tested for autism right now because I think he's a little too young. I have the letter in here. All you got to do is reproduce it and give it to them. He ain't being tested. Don't ask me no more.
Okay.
Let's say your child is in special ed, 2nd grade, been in special ed for a couple years, still can't read, not intellectually disabled, go to school every day, got special ed. I don't see no progress. Guess what? Under federal law, if you can prove that the school is not properly educating your special learner, you can make the public school pay for private school. I got the letter in there. If they're constantly telling you to come pick your child up or you got to sit next to them in the classroom, which you can't do for special ed kids because they have a right to a one-to-one aid that should be written into the IEP. I got the letter in there. You want your child tested for mental giftedness and the Snow Bunny is refusing to recommend your son or daughter for mental gifted eval. I got the letter in there that says I want my child evaluated for gifted. You got 60 days to do it. And if you refuse to acknowledge my request or give a good reason why you're denying it, I'm going to have to file a complaint with the state Secretary of Education. That has every response for anything the school wants to do. They want to expel your child. This is the letter. So all you got to do is find your problem, reproduce my letter, and send it into the school. I got a chapter on homeschooling. I got a chapter on how to understand the psych eval, how to understand the IEP, how to change behavior without drugs. Because if we don't stop this ADHD, this conduct disorder, this ODD crisis, it's going to suffocate us. You have arguably more black children on psychiatric drugs than you have adults on the street. Help me understand, son. Of course, Ritalin, Adderall, Concerta, Cyclert, most of them are only 1 or 2 molecules away from being street crack cocaine.
Wow.
So help me understand this. You got black men across Ohio in jail for selling crack. Mandatory minimum sentence, 5, 10, 20 years. But you'll take the same crack that locked his father up, give it to his son in a school in Cleveland so he can sit still long enough to learn about Helen Keller, Anne Frank, and Christopher Columbus. Black boy don't need drugs, they need love.
Woo. You recently, here goes one of the space. We go from that to this. You recently spoke on Shannon Sharp. We're going to talk about our high profile brothers we all look up to, because you talked about athletes and the people that we look up to. And my man Shannon Sharp, and what's the lady he was involved with?
Gabrielle Asu Ninjas.
Yeah, that's what you call it. Miss Gabrielle.
Yeah.
And that situation there became a high profile thing. And looking at that as an example for African American males and the young brothers going up, you gave him a bit of a pass. I've been watching you on that one. I was like, he likes Shannon a little bit, so he's giving Shannon a little bit of a pass.
Shannon is a good guy. You feel me? I never met him, but I think he's a good brother. I could get energy from Shannon Sharp. Okay. But I take issue from the fact that he's a snow bunny hopper. Okay. I don't approve of black men who date outside the race, especially the wealthy ones. Right?
Stay on that point for 1 second.
He's not getting no pass on that. He's getting a pass on being accused of sexually assaulting that woman, which I completely believe is false, because there's no white woman in America, none, who gets assaulted by a wealthy black man that prestigious and that public who don't call the police and get you arrested. Money is not enough for a white woman. We come from a history in this country where most black men were lynched and hanged and castrated just off the allegation. And you mean to tell me he sexually assaulted you not once, but twice, and you never called the police, all you want is money, get the hell out my face.
It seemed like that was definitely something. He tried to give her some money up front to try to cover it, and I think that's was the biggest
Same
mistake.
mistake Puffy made.
Yeah.
Paying too soon, too
Way
fast,
too
looking
soon.
thirsty and desperate. They got him.
They got him. So
Because
when
she told him, all I need you to give me is $20,000 a cheek.
yeah.
She got with that white lawyer, and that went from $20,000 a cheek to $20 million a cheek. And guess what? She ain't even got no cheeks.
But here's the worst part is that she wanted him to impregnate her.
Yes.
She wanted him to
She wanted the baby.
She wanted
Yes.
to have a baby.
They all do. That's their
Yeah.
thing.
Well,
if
really-
I got the baby, I don't need the ring.
That's correct. That's correct.
Yeah.
She was really trying to bring him,
Yes,
reel
sir.
him in. And he was really considering it from some of the notes. So
I don't
you
think he was going to give her the baby.
You think that was
he
all
was stringing
game?
her along. I think it was all game.
You think it was all
I think he
game?
was stringing it along. But the biggest thing for me, the biggest disappointment for me outside of the bunny hopping itself is the fact that they engaged in racist sex play in the bedroom. And if you're going to date a white woman, that's one thing. It's something completely different to let her treat you like a slave in the bedroom for sexual gratification.
Yeah.
That is an insult to the race. And when you hear some of these celebrity black men, the darker skinned brothers like us, who will say, I date white women because black girls call me ugly in school, and then turn around and let the white woman call you the N-word in the bedroom, how is that less offensive? A black girl calling you ugly, that's more offensive.
That's correct.
So it was okay for her to call you the N-word in the bedroom, and you still date white women, but you'll never date another black woman because a girl called you ugly in middle school. That's a contradiction. You hate yourself. That's why you date white women.
Did you think that at some point where our young men, how you think it affects them when they look at that and they see that? And you talk all the time about dating white women. What's your view
Or
on
any other
or any
non-black
other
woman.
Why you say that, and why it's important? Because I want people to get from this that you're not saying this in a racial way. Because
No,
everybody
not
wanna
to
always,
hate.
not to hate.
No, I don't
And
have
think
no
that-
hatred.
That's what people always. That's one
Nah,
of the misconceptions.
nah.
So I want you to clear that up to people.
And
What
to
you
be
mean?
honest with you, it's not even a misconception.
Okay.
White people don't like unapologetically African black men.
Okay.
They never have. So in order to disgrace you publicly, they accuse any advocate of the black community as being a racist. First of all, I can't be a racist. To be a racist is not just to be prejudiced. Racism is prejudice plus power. I have no organized power to impact the life of any white person. I don't control their mortgage. I'm not their boss. I'm not the judge they got to see in court. I'm not their child superintendent at school. I control nothing that can hurt white people. I can be prejudiced. I can't be racist.
Okay.
So that's number one. The reason I oppose interracial marriage, number one, is self-esteem of black girls. As someone who works in schools, black girls regularly ask me, Dr. Umar, why do black men date white women when my mother has never been married? See that? They see it. It crushes them. It's bad enough they got to walk around with a mop on their head because black men don't want to see black women with natural hair. That's a problem in and of itself. And then on top of that, you're going to parade a white woman around in front of me and my mother when only 1 out of every 4 black women will ever get married in this country. It's absolutely unacceptable. You can't claim to be an advocate for black people sleeping with white people. In addition to that, you have to look at the economic holocaust of the Snow Bunny crisis. Look at all the money and resources that are leaving our community as a result of the bunny hop. Kobe Bryant, rest in peace. Look, he left Vanessa almost $1 billion estate. Ain't none of that money coming into the black community. She won't even take care of his mother or father. So what is going on here? Marvelous Marvin Hagler left a white widow. You see this? Tiger Woods got a divorce settlement with his ex-wife. She got $100 million. And she was a caretaker before he married her. She left a multimillionaire. Look at the economic hemorrhage. Shannon Sharp could pay this woman $50 million that for a couple nights of sex. You know how many black institutions you can build in Cleveland with $50 million? So you cannot be neutral in this if you care about black people. You're killing us economically. And since white women making money off the bunny hop, I'm going to start making money off the bunny hop because I'm going to open up a Snow Bunny leasing agency. Since you can't leave these white girls alone, you can pay me to lease these damn devils.
That's called pimping.
What you think she doing to him? Look at Gabrielle Zuniga.
That's called
And
pimping,
then
man.
the black men are running around and call a black woman a gold digger. Show me one black woman anywhere in America suing a black man for, show me a OnlyFans model. Show me a 21-year-old black OnlyFans model suing a black man for $50 million anywhere in America. You can't find them. Black women never get that kind of money. Most black women will never even take out that kind of lawsuit. You know why? When it comes to sex crimes, black women are presumed guilty. They have to prove their innocence. So most black women, even when they are sexually abused, and black women are more sexually assaulted than any other woman in America, but the least likely to pursue justice, because when they walk in that courtroom, everybody looking at them like they a damn Jezebel.
What's up with you and RG3, man?
Listen, when RG3's career got cut short by Coach Shanahan because he played him before he was fully recovered from his injury, I stood with RG3. And I was disappointed in RG3 because he had such a promising career. I felt he should have just stood out anyway. You don't let them destroy your body because they need a win or two when you would have to suffer the consequences of this for the rest of your life. So that's many years ago. So the issue I had with RG3 is one thing to criticize a black woman. It's something completely different to criticize a child. And it's something even more completely different to criticize a child with your white wife sitting behind your coon ass. She was sitting behind him with the whip, whipping his ass while he talked about Angel. This man was married to one white woman, cheated on her with another white woman, and that's the white woman he with now. And you talking about Angel Reese. A black man dating non-black women ain't got no business criticizing no black women. Keep them out your mouth. You don't belong to our community no more. You chose a side. Stay over there.
We gonna roll out with, we gonna talk about these black women, our queens,
our
sisters, the state
butter
of
almond,
black
butter
women.
pecan, caramel, fudge, chocolate, butterscotch, pina colada, African vanilla, pistachio.
That's where we about to go.
Mahogany.
Black women are under attack politically and economically. How do we protect our sisters without piling more survival labor on their backs?
Number one, some of our sisters of the feminist persuasion have to do a reality check, and they have to take some responsibility for what Donald Trump is doing to them right now. Black women have suffered serious layoffs since Donald Trump has taken office, because he's a racist, and I think he wants to go down in history as one of the most racist presidents in American history. That's going to be tough when you look at Jefferson and Washington and Roosevelt and some of these other ones, the Bushes. It's going to be hard, but he's close. Black women, some of them, the feminists in particular, they severed ties with black men. They said they didn't need us no more. The white man got us, and now you see the white man don't got you. The empowerment of black women, which began in the 1970s, was a strategy to disempower black males. See, after they killed Dr. King, the white power structure said, we will never allow another black revolution in America. We failed to realize that the 1960s took America to the brink of disintegration. H. Rap Brown, Malcolm X, Stokely Carmichael, Dr. King, the Black Panthers, SNCC, CORE, SCLC, the Freedom Rides, the sit-ins, the bus protest. America, and these were all serious people. Not what you got now. Black consciousness today is a capitalist scam. So the brothers on the internet talking black talk, they just looking for money and fame. They not in the streets doing nothing, which is why I don't work with most of them, because they hustlers. They not activists. They just hustlers. And so in the 1970s, they decided to make the black man economically irrelevant to the black woman. So in the 70s, that's when they went into the high schools of Cleveland, the high schools of Cincinnati, the high schools of Columbus, and they took out all the industrial building trades. That's why in Black America today, there might only be 1 or 2 high schools where you can still learn how to be a plumber, a carpenter, a roofer, a welder, an electrician. 75 years ago, everybody graduated from high school with a skill. Our grandparents lived without a college degree better than we do now, because they had the skills that can pay the bills. In order to bankrupt the Black Power movement, they removed the skills training out the high school. They also removed the industries, the factories out the black communities, and turned them into prisons. So the black man became economically irrelevant to the black woman. Then they infused the welfare programs in. The welfare programs was not to help black women and children. It was to help the black woman forget about the black man. 1980s, they dropped the crack off. So now black men suffering from not being able to provide, you could smoke the crack or you could sell the crack. They don't care. Either way, you're going to jail. That gave birth to Bill Clinton's 1994 crime bill, Democrat, who locked up more black people than any Republican president you can name. Then that lead us to the year 2000, George W. Bush, he drops off the FBI bomb, faith-based initiative. He started allowing black churches to qualify for federal money. And since the black churches started qualifying for federal money, a lot of black churches have retreated from the front line of civil rights struggle. That's why when you go to most black cities, it's hard to find a church that's at the forefront of fighting against miseducation, mass incarceration, police extermination, gentrification, and economic apartheid, because they're getting paid to stay out of it. In fact, there was an FBI report that I read in Philadelphia that the pastors are who the FBI uses now to inform on the activists in the community. The pastors are the new snitches on black power. So we have to look at the systematization of this, tongue twister. Black women said, forget them Negroes. We're gonna do this on our own. And now Donald Trump is targeting our sisters. So the good thing in all this is black women are waking up to the reality, we do need our men. And black men need to wake up to the reality, we do need our women. A house divided cannot stand. And as long as black men and black women are fighting each other, how the hell are we going to fight white supremacy? This is divide and conquer, separate and rule. And if it's one thing that pisses me off, Elder, going back to the slave trade in Africa, because they use divide and conquer, separate and rule to put us in slavery. They use divide and conquer, separate and rule to destroy the black community. They use divide and conquer, separate and rule to destroy the black elites. They use divide and conquer, separate and rule to destroy the black family. And we fall for it every single time. White power could never be successful against black people without the participation of black people.
What would a fully protected, empowered, and supported black womanhood look like to you?
Say that again.
What would a fully protected, empowered, and supported black woman look like to you?
Number one, they would be married. They got to have a king. Most women do when they have children, right? So part of that is a husband, a solid family foundation that is devoid of any other toxicities of domestic abuse, alcoholism, et cetera, and et cetera. That's number one. Number two, they would be economically empowered by the black community to operate their own businesses and not have to go and work for sexually parasitic white males. Because most black women don't want to work for white people, but they have no choice because black men are not organizing together to give our women a safe space to operate commerce. In African culture, the women did the business. We brought the resources to the community, and then the women took the resources and flipped it. That's how it normally goes. But our women have to go out and pursue jobs and employment because we're so disorganized. So the disorganization of black men makes it tough on black women. And then you add to that the single motherhood, the fact that black women been raising most of our children by themselves for the past 50 years. And then black men turn right around and tell this black mother who's been raising children on her own, working 2 and 3 jobs, dealing with her own medical and psychological issues, you're not humble enough to me. Humble? Humble? She can't be humble to you because if you was what you're supposed to be, she would have never had to be what she is right now. Black women are angry at black men because they see the way other men treat their women and they don't get it the same. A lot of black women are politically uneducated. They don't understand there's a war against black men. So sisters do need to step back and humble themselves and stop expecting black men to be a carbon copy of a white male. So there does need to be some change in attitude and mindset by the black woman. But at the same token, black men have to stop expecting black women to be excessively humble when you don't give her the freedom to purely exist within her feminine space. Black women have to keep stepping outside of their feminine space into masculine spaces because they have to raise boys and work jobs. If you want her to be feminine 24 hours a day, give her that freedom by eliminating her financial responsibilities.
I get all of that. I really do. But
Baba,
but
black queens, black kings.
I think the brothers is just really getting a hard.
I think it's both ways though, Baba. I agree with you. Brothers are getting it hard. Sisters too, though.
Hard,
it's
man.
both ways.
Because they did a study here in Cleveland where they talked about Cleveland was the worst place for an African American woman to live. And they did it based off of education. They did it off of opportunities. Did it off of jobs and a few things. But in that study, it's talked about that. But African-American males rank below that and way below that on all of that. So my thing was that if it's worse for black women, it has to be terrible for black men. But it seemed, and I don't want to come off, I don't love my queens, because I do.
Yes.
But I got 3 daughters. I need husbands.
Yes.
And I know these brothers are hard, but it seemed like the brothers, we just get it. And everybody constantly fighting for the sisters. And I'm with that. And the sisters doing a hell of a job of organizing, doing the stuff they need to do. But it seemed like the brothers, we catching it, man.
I think it's wrong on both sides, because when you go to the internet, we are the only people, you don't see this in no other community, none, where the men are openly rejecting, condemning, and expelling their women. And the women are doing the same thing. That's correct. Back and forth. That's correct. Back and forth. Look at the reality shows. They exist on a platform of toxic intimacy. That's correct. See that? Yeah. And our children are growing up in this atmosphere where black men and black women are making it clear, I need you, I don't want you, and most of all, I don't even like you. And I think a lot of this is being engineered from the outside. This is not purely organic. This is being engineered from the outside. The destruction of the black family is critical if you want to destroy black people.
Is you think part of this whole revolution of what we need to do, what is the steps you think we need to do in order to start to rebuild?
Economics and education.
Okay.
We need a black credit union in Cleveland. Now, some churches may have a credit union, but that's for the church. We need one for the people itself.
Okay.
If all black Cleveland kept their money in the same financial institution, that gives us enough capital to build Black Wall Street Cleveland. Because the essential institutions of any healthy, independent community are what? Black-owned school, black-owned bank, black-owned hospital, black-owned supermarket. A school to teach the kids, hospital to save the kids, a supermarket to feed the kids, and a bank to invest in the children. We don't have that nowhere. Black people are $2 trillion, and you don't have a Black Wall Street nowhere in America. We keep celebrating Tulsa. We keep celebrating Rosewood. We keep celebrating Wilmington, North Carolina. Why are we not replicating it? We got more capital than they had back then. We $2 trillion. You spending $2 billion on Air Jordans a year. You spending $4 billion on liquor a year. You spending tens of billions on electronics a year. You own more Mercedes-Benzes than white people, yet you have less than a third of white people's wealth. What is black America's infatuation with Mercedes-Benzes and BMWs? I tell you what it is. When I can't be equal, I like to surround myself with the symbols of equality. And the reason black people are so addicted to expensive, high-end European-made goods is it makes me feel better about my reality and more equal with my oppressor.
Gee. So how we get around that? How do you
got education? So that was economics.
With our family, right?
The other one is education.
Okay.
You got to retrain this.
Okay.
Frederick Douglass said, "It is better to raise strong children than to repair broken men."
Okay.
It is better to raise strong children than to repair broken men. Dr. Carter G. Woodson said what? Father Black History. When you control a man's mind, you don't have to be concerned about his actions. You don't have to tell him to go out. He'll go on his own. You don't have to tell him to walk out the door. He'll walk on his own. And when he gets to the back, if there is no door, he will make a door and walk out. Such has been his education until Black Ohio starts educating black children. I said the same thing in Cincinnati. I said the same thing in Columbus. Until we build and open our own schools. And you got abandoned schools all over Cleveland.
All right.
Why the black community ain't bought none yet? Why the churches ain't came together and bought a single school yet to give our boys an independent school? Because black teachers are crying to get out the public school system. They would gladly come over to an independent school system, but black people are allergic to building their own institutions. And the reason black people are allergic to building our own institutions, we don't want the financial responsibility and we don't want the community accountability. See, it's easy to have a one-day march. It's easy to have a one-day protest. It's easy to have a one-day this, but when you say we're gonna build a school, that means I gotta contribute over the long haul. That means I gotta support over the long haul. Black people do not wanna be committed to black people.
Let's go into, because we're talking about commitment and black people.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to talk about Pan-Africanism.
Yes, sir.
And the meaning behind it and what it is. I thought I knew what it was until
Yes,
I
sir.
had to start get into you and get an understanding. So for the people that follow me and the folks who don't, explain to them, what is Pan-Africanism?
I would summarize Pan-Africanism in 4 simple principles. Number 1, all African people, wherever you are in the world, whether you in Cleveland speaking English, whether you in South Africa speaking Zulu, whether you in Brazil speaking Portuguese, whether you in New Orleans speaking Creole, whether you are in France speaking French, no matter what your religion is, no matter what flag you pledge loyalty to, no matter what God you worship, no matter what language you speak, we are all members of a single human family created by the Almighty. Remember, God only made the black man. Mother Nature made everybody else from us. We are the only people whose DNA goes to God. The black woman is the only woman who walks the earth with the mitochondrial DNA of the original woman that God first put on earth.
Can you explain to people? I heard you mention on that show. I started reading into that a little bit. So explain to my viewers what you mean by that.
The Eve gene. So the first human being on earth was a woman. It was not a man. It was a woman. God put a woman down first. And that woman, okay, had a genetic code, and all of her black daughters throughout history and into perpetuity have that same original genetic code of the mother that God put on the planet. No other woman has the mitochondrial DNA. That means the black woman carries within her every day the genetic ability to reproduce any other people. The red people, the white people, the yellow people, the brown people, they all come from us. The black woman is the mother of humanity, and the black man is the father. But ask yourself, if we are the beginning, and if we are the mothers and fathers, how in the hell did we become the followers of everybody else? We are imitators now. We ain't the originators. Our girls walking around with blonde weaves. Black men thirsting for white women. We want to imitate whites. How did the last become first? And the first become last. And it is our destiny. God has given us a charge to put the first back in first place and the last back in last place.
And so do you believe that all Pan-Africanism, or people who study that or follow that, you think they should change their name like you? Because I knew a lot of people who grew up who followed. Then there were some who changed their names. So you think everyone should change their name?
Pan-African nationalism is not cultural nationalism. Related, but different.
Okay.
A cultural nationalist would prioritize the
Okay.
changing of your name,
Gotcha.
the changing of the way you dress,
Gotcha.
the
Gotcha.
changing of your culture. We don't prioritize that because we say, what good is practicing your culture when you're still working for white folks? What good is practicing your culture when your children still being educated by snow bunnies? Many of our greatest Pan-Africanists had European names. John Henry Clark, Amos Wilson, Marcus Garvey. You follow me? So should we change them? Yes, but let's not put the icing on the cake until we bake the cake. The cake is the freedom. The cake is your own institution. The cake is your own community. Changing your name, that's the icing. You can do that whenever you feel like doing it, but that's not the priority because black people got a bad habit as elder. We love symbolism.
That's correct.
With no substance.
That's correct.
In Cleveland, when Black History Month come around, we do our Black history, don't we? When Kwanzaa come around, we do our Kwanzaa. Dr. King Day, Juneteenth, but where the damn schools, banks, hospitals at? Nowhere to be found. Pan-Africanists, we want substance over symbols.
On this relationship thing we were talking about with men and women, do you think we need to write like a rite of passage for relationship codes between men and women in our black community?
You should,
to
but I'm gonna tell you,
reestablish us to get back
I think
together?
so, but I'll tell you what'll help even more than that. We do need to do that. We need a council of elders. Cleveland should have a black council of elders. Columbus, Youngstown, Dayton, Toledo, Philly, Baltimore.
What would
Oakland.
that look like?
If you're 65 years or older, you go to a meeting at least once a month to create a code of conduct for your community. You also create systems of accountability. You also create systems of conflict resolution. If my brother owe me some money and he don't want to pay me, instead of me pulling out my gat, instead of me going to a white man court, I come to the council of elders. Brothers owe me $1,000, he ain't paid me back. They call him to the table and they tell him what you gonna do. We're gonna put you on the payment plan. You owe this brother $100 a month till you pay him off. And if you ever fail to remit that payment, you're going to be excommunicated from the black community till you pay him off. Nobody in Cleveland will speak to you. No, I'm dead serious. Listen to me. You will never hold people accountable until you have a system of consequences.
That's correct.
Let me go somewhere else.
So
The Italians, let me give you this real quick.
ahead.
The Italian mafia, right?
Okay.
The 5 families. They had a rule.
That's correct.
You don't kill no kids. You don't kill no wives. You don't kill no old people. Even if it's by accident. If you kill a woman, a child, or an elder, somebody from your family got to die. Got to die. Why is it we got these Negroes shooting all up Cleveland, hitting kids, hitting women, hitting elders, and no consequences? We'll never get the respect of the black community until we start giving us some consequences. Every black community needs what I call a ski mask club. It's an army of brothers and sisters. Nobody even know they exist. They dress up like ninjas at night, and they go and take care of the ninjas. You beating on your woman, we got that ass. You shot somebody, we got that ass. You stealing from elders, we got that ass. You gotta have a military wing. We think we could just pray out people, and no. Negroes are too far gone. You gotta whip some ass. And without that military wing, without that council of elders, we will never have law and order.
And you think it should be done from us, not outside of our
From us.
It gotta be done by us.
The solution to every problem we have, elder, is the village.
That's correct.
We got to get back to the village. We got everything we need if we only organize. We've never taken a black community inventory. Have you ever been to a meeting in Cleveland in your life where somebody said, we're going to find out what exactly we have here? How many nurses we got? How many doctors we got? How many electricians we got? How many brothers trained in military we got? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We duplicating stuff 50 times over. What if you already got too many black nurses? You say, sisters, listen, we already got too many nurses, but we need more black teachers. And if you decide to go into teaching instead of nursing, still got the same level of job security, teachers and nurses can get a job anywhere in the world. And we're going to give you a little scholarship to go with it. We got to organize. The Honorable Marcus Garvey said the greatest weapon used against the Negro is disorganization. Malcolm X said we're not being outsmarted, we're being out-organized. Stokely Carmichael, Kwame Ture said what? If you organize a little, you get a little done. If you organize some, you get some done. But if you don't organize at all, you don't get nothing done. Where's the organization at? Once upon a time, it used to be the church. The church was everything. The church was the black community's Walmart. It was the one-stop shop. We fought the Klan through the church. We buried our dead through the church. We got our jobs through the church. The first schools through the church. But after they killed King, black church said, wait a minute. I'm not trying to go out like this. So in a post-King era, the black church reinvented itself from an institution of agitation to an institution of accommodation. During King, we're going to fight the power structure. After King, we're going to have coffee with the power structure. Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson.
Oh, hey, you got me going right in the right direction, because now we're headed right into a little politics and how things change.
Yes, sir.
If you could walk into the Oval Office today, not to brag, but to demand, not to beg, excuse me, but to demand, what 3 changes would you slap on Donald Trump's desk for survival of the black America?
If I had the support of the African Union.
Yeah, you got it. We
would
made
walk
you
in there.
our guy. You going in there, Umar,
no, I mean
to
the
get us
African
together.
Union from the continent.
Oh, you going big.
Oh, you got to.
I told you know what?
America
I put that question
consumes.
in, and I figured you was gonna say he's not gonna say America.
America consumes.
I got you. Go ahead.
50%
Go ahead.
of the exports of Africa. If you cut this country off from African resources, it would drown. So the first thing I would tell Donald Trump, the next black person die from a police officer, you ain't getting no gold, you ain't getting no lithium, you ain't getting no cobalt, no coltan. So you know what that means? No more cell phones, no more laptops, no more airplanes, no more radio. We're gonna cut your ass off at the jugular vein. Touch us again, and our brothers on the other side of the water ain't giving you no more resources. Problem solved. I'm gonna take it a step further for you. And this is why I know Pan-Africanism, this red, black, and green is the only way to go. There was a national security memorandum that came out in 1984. I think it was number 46, where the National Security Agency said there's only one threat to America's global domination: the operational unity of Black America and Black Africa. They said we can never let Black America and Black Africa unite. It's over. And they even, when you read it, they said the CIA and FBI must be directed to sow dissension between Black Africa and Black America. Why you think they released Black Panther 1?
Yo,
And I'm a Ryan Coogler fan,
Right.
but you do know that there's a congressional committee that oversees Hollywood.
That's correct.
And they pay the movie producers to inject content into the movies that pushes America's global agenda. Look at the Black, you saw Panther 1.
I saw it.
Killmonger, which is really Dr. Umar, that's me. They just didn't give me the name. And I say that because he quoted me verbatim at least 3 times in the movie. Okay? So you got Killmonger over here. You got Prince T'Challa, rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman over here. Killmonger represented Black conscious men in America.
That's correct.
T'Challa represented Black leaders in Africa. What was the message? The message was, don't let them Black Americans over here, even though they know their history, they so full of hate, they'll destroy your culture. What did Killmonger do when he got to Wakanda? Destroyed everything. Killed the elder, smacked the sister. You feel me? So the message to Africa was, leave them Black Americans alone, they'll destroy your culture. Look on the flip side. Prince T'Challa said, I'm only concerned about Wakanda. Remember that?
That's correct.
Lapita said, we got Black people all over the world. He said, that ain't my problem. This is all I care about. He ain't cared nothing about Africans in the diaspora. So the message to Black America was, Africans don't want you, stay where you are. You see that? And then who was the hero in the movie?
CIA.
A CIA agent. How can a CIA agent be a hero in a Black superhero movie? Who killed Malcolm X? Who killed Patrice Lumumba? Who helped arrest Nelson Mandela? And by the way, Nelson Mandela was convicted today, June 12th, 1964.
Wow.
And Medgar Evers died today, 61.
Wow.
Same day. So Black Panther 1 was a propaganda film. They made Ryan Coogler put that in there. Even if they even went to him, they might have went over his head. But you're not going to tell me Ryan Coogler wrote that kind of a script. You feel me? It was too negativistic.
That's correct.
What movie you know about Africa and you don't see no Black love in it? You don't see no woman with a child. You didn't see a single woman with a child in Black Panther because they have a gay agenda for Africa. Remember, Barack Obama and Kamala Harris went to Africa telling African heads of state that if you don't make gay marriage legal, we're going to cut off all your financial.
That was a whole big old thing on that.
But it's not homosexuality for the purpose of homosexuality. It's homosexuality for the purpose of stopping reproduction. Have you ever heard of Global 2000?
No.
Global 2000 was a presidential initiative. I think it was signed by Jimmy Carter, who was a CFR, Council on Foreign Relations, Jimmy Carter, which means Rockefeller. They wanted to reduce the global population of African people down to about 500 million by the year 2000. They didn't get it. That's why they came up with COVID, poor health care, mass incarceration, and the LGBTQ weapon. The reason they're teaching that stuff to our kids has nothing to do with homosexuality. It's birth control. Birth control. If I teach Black boys to only date Black boys, and if I teach Black girls to only date Black girls, no more Black people. Checkmate.
Do you stay in this system? Do we stay in this system, or do we fight, or do we build something totally separate, like Garvey said?
The Asians, the Arabs, the Latinos, the Chinese, they didn't move nowhere. They right here in America, but they got a Chinatown. You see that? So you can coexist. You must. America is a collection of ethnicities and racial groups, period. And every ethnicity and racial group builds their own community, except us. And you know what's funny? We're the most hated of all of them. Everybody hates Black people, and we still don't have nothing of our own. You know why? Slavery destroyed our self-esteem so bad that most Black people are preoccupied by looking important and being accepted by white people. Most of our money is spent on looking important and being accepted by white people. Will Smith said something I thought was pretty fascinating. Will Smith said, Black people spend too much money we do not have, buying things we do not need, to impress other Black people we don't even like. Black people are too focused on entertainment and appearances. Most flyers I see in the Black community are for some damn party, some damn celebration, some damn get together. What are we celebrating? We losing. We ain't got time for no celebration. And then you got Negroes talking about we gonna celebrate Juneteenth, right? Now check this out. Joe Biden legalized Juneteenth 3 years ago. You know why he did it? Because he was giving other groups resources. He didn't give Black people no resource. So he said, I'm gonna give you a holiday in exchange for the resource. But the real reason he gave Juneteenth was to kill Juneteenth. Whenever the federal government adopts a black holiday, they steal all the value of it. Remember before they started celebrating Black History Month, mainstream, we value Black History Month.
That's correct.
You got 28 days of programming in Cleveland 30 years ago. You probably don't even hear about Black History Month in February in Cleveland now. Look at Kwanzaa. 30 years ago, Kwanzaa was serious, 7 nights. Look at Kwanzaa now. He adopted Juneteenth because we didn't need it to be federalized. Black people didn't need the federal government to accept Juneteenth. He did it to kill it. And ever since he federalized Juneteenth, that means what? You qualify for grants. So now you got non-black people hosting Juneteenth events so they can get the free money. And guess what? I ain't seen a Juneteenth, and it's only been 3 years. I ain't seen a Juneteenth focus on the liberation of our ancestors on June 19th, 1865, since Joe Biden made it legal. They talking about everything but black people. Everything but black people. You can't find a real Juneteenth event in America now because Joe Biden know black people love money more than each other. So once I make Juneteenth a federal holiday, put some money behind it, I can control the narrative of Juneteenth.
Let's talk about our allies.
We don't have no damn allies.
You answered my question before I even get it out.
We got no allies. Listen.
So we have no allies.
None. People will come and play like they're your ally to use and exploit you like the Jews did 50, 60 years ago. Latinos done it more recently. White women, LGBTQ. Everybody will use blacks, and then once they get from you, they drop you. You don't have no friends, and you don't need no friends.
We never had any allies.
Name me one group that has ever come to America to fight with us. Don't give me no individuals. Okay. I can name you a Jew who stood with us.
Yeah, that's what
I can name you a white woman who died for us.
Okay.
I could talk about John Brown of the Harper's Ferry Raid, 1859.
Okay.
We're not talking about individuals. Name a community of people that said, we stand with black people in their struggle. You can't give me one, but we stand with everybody. You got Negroes in LA right now going to jail for the Latinos. The same Mexicans who can't stand your black ass, you over there going to jail for them. I wish the Mexicans, I don't have nothing against no other group, but if you think I'm going to waste any of my energy fighting for people who never fight for me, you can miss me with that.
If you could lay out a code of conduct for white allies in 2025, what would it include, and where does it stop?
First of all, I don't want no damn white allies. Pan-Africanism, we stand for self-determination.
Okay.
That means whatever is to be done for us is done by us.
Okay.
Black money, black participation, period. Now, if a white liberal came in here and said, Dr. Umar, I want to help black people. Remember the scene in Malcolm X when a white girl stopped Denzel before he walked into the college? And she said, what can I do? Denzel said nothing. My answer would have been a little bit different. And by the way, I just debated Elon Musk's father.
I was going to get there. You debated.
You'll get there. I hold that.
Yeah.
So anyhow, same place where Malcolm debated 3 months before he died. Right. Same spot. This is what I would say. I would say if you're really against racism, structural inequality and equity, go to your community and fight against the people who are creating the systems that are suffocating black people. The biggest contradiction of a white liberal is what? You want to be amongst the blacks. There's no power here. Your community is the one that's distributing the resources. Your community is the one passing the laws. It's your community sentencing us to these long sentences in jail. It's your community creating educational policy. What you want to hang out with black people for? Because you want to be worshiped. That's why. You want to be special to black people. That's why. You probably want to hustle some grants in the name of black people. That's why. Because if a white person is really concerned about racism, you fight racism where it exists. You don't fight racism amongst the victims. So it is a contradiction for white people who claim to be against racism hanging around black folks. You should be home with your racist father, mother, cousin, nephew, soror, frat brother, secret society brother. That's where the racism is, not in our community. And I don't want no white women because all black men want to do is sleep with her any damn way. Even the Black Panthers said that. When you read some of the autobiographies of some of the original Black Panthers, they talk about it. I just read one brother, last name was Cox. He went into exile, lived the rest of his life in France. He said, we kept talking about solidarity with these other groups. And he said something, and I'm paraphrasing. He said something to the effect, I see more solidarity in the bedroom than I see anywhere else. See, the reason black men love Multiculturalism is so they can help themselves to the pale vagina. I don't want the pale vagina. Take your pale ass back to the caves and stay there. Black power.
Woo, Lordy have mercy. Let me ask you a question as it relates to Elon Musk. You had an opportunity to go to
Oxford
it
University.
was Oxford University. You was up there. How you was debating Elon Musk's father?
Yes, sir.
This was a few weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks
Two
ago.
Thursdays ago, I
Two
think.
Thursdays ago, and you were talking to him about what was
African colonization.
How did that go? I was
He didn't
really.
put up-
we
he
was
didn't put
trying
up-
to find it on the internet.
They're
We
going to
could-
post it. They're going to post it. But he didn't put up much of a fight.
Really?
He didn't put up much of a fight. I went first,
Okay.
and then he went. And he got booed anyway, but he didn't put by the blacks in there, you know what I mean?
Right.
But he didn't put up much of a fight because Elon Musk's father made his living exploiting the
Correct.
emerald mines
Correct.
in Southern Africa. So he's a true colonizer.
That's
you see what I'm
correct.
saying?
That's correct.
So what could he really say? And if he would have went back and forth with me, I would have went deeper into his son's history because his son got his money from his father. So all that money, Elon Musk, he's grown the money, but that initial startup came from the exploitation of black people in South Africa. And neither him nor his father has ever fought against that because they are true colonizers. You know what I mean? So he didn't have much of an argument. I won that easy.
So what do you say about the fact that the administration is bringing folks from South Africa over here to the United States and saying that these people in South Africa are being victims of farming?
That's insane. Here's the one thing I understand about the white man. He does not provide a historical context for any modern issue. He never provides, if you want to talk about black on black crime, he's not going to give you a historical context. You want to talk about mass unemployment, he's not going to give you historical context. You want to talk about the appropriation of white lands by black people in Southern Africa, he's not going to give you historical context because the further you go back, the more it's obvious he's the cause of the problem. White people came to Africa, British and Dutch. They robbed, killed, genocided, and enslaved our people in Southern Africa. They took the land, they stole it, never paid for it. Even though apartheid fell April of 1994 under Nelson Mandela, nothing changed. The same people who control the mines then control them now. Most of South Africa's wealth was in the hands of white people then. Most of South Africa's wealth is in the hands of white people now. There was no redistribution of the wealth. There was no redistribution of the wealth. The South African government barely owns a mine. You see that? The governments are only what? A functionary for white corporate power.
Now, why do you
So them taking their land back, it's theirs anyway. You stole it.
That's correct.
See, I'll be in South Africa next month for the Ethiopian World Federation conference. The Ethiopian World Federation was founded when Mussolini invaded Haile Selassie's Ethiopia.
Okay.
And so black people in America said, we will go to Ethiopia and fight because at the time, Ethiopia was the only African country that had never been colonized. So black America said, because Pan-Africanism was born here. Pan-Africanism don't come from Africa. We took it there.
Okay.
We are the mothers and fathers of Pan-Africanism.
Okay.
And so the Pan-Africanists said, I'll go to Ethiopia and fight. But the president of the United States would not let black people go to Ethiopia and fight. So they created the Ethiopian World Federation to support Ethiopia as much as they could. And that organization still exists today. So the next conference is in South Africa at the end of middle of next month, and I'll be keynoting that.
I remember you mentioned that Africa itself, until it's one whole nation,
It's a continent. There's 54, 55 countries.
and you were saying that it's kind of divided up, and you were saying the coming together of that.
When the white man left Africa, right? So the independence revolution, right? Starting with Ghana, Congo, so forth and so on. And I'll be in the Congo for the first time at the end of this month celebrating Patrice Lumumba's 100th Earth Day. Okay, because remember, he was Malcolm X's role model.
Okay.
And he was assassinated on the orders of President Dwight D. Eisenhower. He had Lumumba killed and his body sliced up into little teeny pieces and dissolved in acid. The only thing that survived from the acid elder was his tooth. This was January 17th, 1961. Guess what? From January 17th to 1961 until 2025, his family just had his tooth returned from Belgium.
Wow.
A few weeks ago.
Wow.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And when the white man was forced out of Africa, what he did was he divided Africa along ethnic lines. Basically, what he did during colonization, every country, they chose one ethnic group that would be the house Negroes. See that? So let's take Nigeria. You have Yoruba, you have Igbo, you have Hausa, you have other groups, right? Every country, you got dozens, if not hundreds of ethnicities, right? So the white man said, I'm gonna pick and choose 2 or 3 of these. These are the ones I'm gonna trust. I'm gonna treat them real good. When I leave, I'm going to leave them in charge. So what's automatically going to happen? All the other groups are going to go against them because you're the ones who helped them oppress us for 100 years. So the white man did that on purpose to make sure he always had somebody he could trust. So the reason African countries are always at each other is because during colonization, the white man introduced divide and conquer, separate and rule, and he's still using that against us now.
Wow.
The reason no African country, or the reason why so few African countries have been able to modernize, is some of them are so small. This was done on purpose by the white man that it's hard for them to generate enough economic activity to divorce themselves from the parasitic loans that the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund gives them. So the best thing for Africa to do is to federate. You need a United States of Africa.
That's
if you had a United States of Africa, you could generate enough economic activity. But the problem with the United States of Africa is what, Baba? If you're the president of Botswana and I'm the president of Nigeria, he's the president of Ethiopia, he's the president of Lesotho, he's the president of Liberia. If I go to a USA, United States of Africa, I can't hustle no more money. I can't do no more kickbacks because now I have oversight over me.
That's correct.
On top of that, my ego. See, as president of my country, I'm the be-all, end-all. If I'm part of a United States of Africa, I'm more of a governor than the president, which means I still got to answer for what I do to other people. So ego plays a role in this, but also white power. They don't want Africa to federalize. They do not want a United States of Africa because if they do that, it would be hard for them to control the continent. They rather do what they're doing now, 55 countries, divided we stand, united we fall, divide and conquer.
Again, you got a new leader that's coming around that seemed to be popular.
Ibrahim Traoré.
Yeah, and it seems like he's on a mission.
Yes, and he's working with the other two brothers,
Yeah.
General Chiani and the other brother Goita from Niger and Mali, respectively.
Okay.
I heard the president of Senegal might be coming on. A few other presidents might be coming on. We need that. We need a new leadership body because the African Union, collectively, most member states are so in debt and in love with the West that they can't do what's right for the people. You got a lot of good leaders in Africa, though. Don't get me wrong. You got a lot of good leaders in Africa. The problem is not enough. And even some of the good ones are not courageous enough because you do know there's been about, 18 attempted coups
That's correct.
in Africa in maybe the past 10 years concerned about assassination by the CIA.
That's
because the CIA go into Africa if you don't do what America wants you to do. And they'll find some of your enemies and they'll pay and finance them
That's correct.
to overthrow or kill you. Let's be clear. America don't care about democracy. You know how they say we're going to make the world safer? They don't care about democracy. They care about complicity. If you don't do what they want you to do, they will kill you. Patrice Lumumba was elected. They killed him. Kwame Nkrumah was elected. They overthrew him. They even went and got Kwame Nkrumah's schoolmate from Lincoln University in Philadelphia and brought him to Ghana to help overthrow Kwame Nkrumah. They played dirty.
We rounding third. We're getting there, Dr. Umar.
Yes, sir. Yes,
appreciate you sitting in here with us, man. We're going to talk a little bit about faith, generational role, faith and spiritual grounding.
Yes, sir.
In a country where political leaders weaponize religion while defunding humanity, how do we reclaim spiritual as a tool for the Black resistance and renewal?
Got you. First of all, as a Pan-Africanist, we believe in freedom of religion. Most Pan-Africanists were pastors of the church. The founding fathers, Bishop Alexander Crummell, he's the father of Black social work. He's also one of the fathers of Black intellectual scholarship. He was an Episcopalian minister. Bishop Henry McNeill Turner, who was the ninth bishop of the AME.
Okay.
He's the first Black man to say God was Black. Father of Pan-Africanism. He actually took Black people back to Africa. Okay. Bishop Henry Highland Garnett, who was the first Black preacher to give a speech in front of the U.S. Congress. Pan-Africanism. So Pan-Africanism grew out the church to some extent. You feel me? The leaders were pastors, a different kind of pastor than what we got today, but a pastor. Okay. And so we don't take issue with religion. Malcolm was a Muslim. Garvey was a Christian, right? Sekou Touré was a Muslim. So it don't matter. Religion is fine. There's only one God. Whatever path you want to take, you take it, okay? To answer your question, Black religion has to divorce itself from its relationship with the United States government. You can't serve two masters. All this taking money from the same hand that's killing Black folks, it got to stop. You got to be independent. All original Black churches were independent. We got to go back to the independent model. That's number one. Number two, we have to define what is godly and what is not in terms of a code of conduct. Like I said, we worship in idols. The black church has to divorce itself from idol worship. Unfortunately, a lot of our pastors are some of the biggest idol worshipers you will find, right? This whole prosperity preaching, idol worship. Okay, come and get a big biz like me. Come on. Okay, and then I think the black church also has to deal with the sexism and the femicide in the black community. Too many black women being killed by black men.
Okay.
Too many black women being killed by black men. Too many black kids being sexually abused. Black church knows about it. I know they know about it because I hear about it. You follow me? People tell me, Dr. Umar, this kid in this church, blah, 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 because pastors don't like to hold accountable the leading men in the church. Even though you know he's beating his woman at night, you're not going to do nothing about it. So we have to become more married to integrity and character. There's not enough black men checking black men. And in the religious sector, there's not enough spiritually minded black men checking black men. Same thing in the masjid. It ain't just the church. We could go to the masjid. You got brothers coming in the church praying Friday Juma, coming to the masjid praying Friday Juma, but he's causing some of the biggest ruckus in the community. He beating on women. He impregnated a 14-year-old, and you ain't did nothing about that. So any pastor, you a caretaker of your flock. Take care of that flock. My biggest issue overall with black religion, and when I say church, I don't mean Christian, I mean everybody. Sure. Even African traditionalists, same thing. If you're really trying to save your people from the devil, why are you so comfortable with them living in hell?
So you believe that the black church has lost this edge? And
of course.
You think we should stay and wait for some new warriors to step into the pulpit?
Here's the other thing, and this is not just the black church. This is an issue with the black community as a whole. We do not have an intergenerational system to transfer leadership from generation to generation. You got pastors in Ohio who are 70 and 80 years old. You got young ministers sitting right there. He will not give them the microphone because of ego. Here's what you need to understand about the black man. Here's what you need to understand about the black man. We have been so oppressed in this society. Most of us, we are not used to having real power. And not having that real power be a threat. So when black men taste power, we like, damn, this is what it really means to be a man.
That's correct.
We fall in love with it so deeply that we never want to share it. And this is why you have so many elders beyond 60 and 70 still running organizations who should have been stepped down and passed it to a younger generation. You don't see this in other communities. They don't have a pathological issue of leadership beyond 70. Look at the Congressional Black Caucus. The average age of the Congressional Black Caucus is like 69. You're supposed to be fighting Donald Trump for black people from a wheelchair? I'm not dismissing the elders, because in African culture, we say old people for wisdom, young people for war. That's why you need a council of elders, so the elders can still lead from the council of elders. But you need young men for war, because we'll go to jail. We'll take a bullet. We'll give a bullet. You're not trying to do that at 70. You want to kick your feet up, drink your coffee, play with your grandkids, and give us the wisdom. So you still need them. The young and the old work together. But with this pathological thing we got, where we got organizations being ran by people in their 70s, 80s, and 90s, completely dysfunctional. Pass the leadership down. But here's the sad thing. That young pastor who was never allowed to give any sermons on Sunday, because the pastor said, I built this church, this is my church, and even though I'm 85 years old and don't nobody want to come on Sunday to listen to me, I don't care because it's mine, don't want to give up the power. Guess what the young guy does? He leaves the church, starts his own, and when he get 80, he does the same thing to the next one. We have to come up with a system to transfer power, and we got to train leaders. Another handicap of Black America. The Bible is a beautiful book, but it is not a solutions manual for white supremacy. We pray for leaders because that's what they did in the Bible. White America don't pray for leaders, they make them. Chinese don't play for leaders, they make them. Arabs don't play for leaders, they make them. Where are our leadership academies? Where are our leadership training schools? If you're just going to pray for a leader to drop from heaven, you're never going to get one. Because first of all, God ain't too anxious about helping black people anyway. We live in a cloud of sin. And that cloud of sin that we live in is blocking any blessings from the Almighty. Your prayers can't even get out. The frequency ain't strong enough. The angels can't even take them up there because you engulfed in your own hypocrisy. And until Black America break through that cloud, ain't none of your players going up to God. God ain't thinking about black folks. Every problem we got was imposed by us. God didn't create we praying to God for better schools while we spend $30 billion on weaves, perms, and beauty products. You think God gonna answer you? We praying for an end of crime in the black community, but we ain't creating no institutions and creating no jobs. Here's the science of prayer. You don't pray for your problems to go away. You pray that God gives you the wisdom, the resources, and the energy to solve your own damn problems. We asking God to do for us what we should be doing for ourselves. The only thing we need from our Father is the energy and the wisdom. The rest is ours.
Preach, preacher. That's all I can tell you. Jesus. We're going to get into these generational things. What we do with Generation Z. Let's see. What we do with Generation Z, the millennials, and all right, see, my question is this. We have Generation Z, we have the millennials, and we got Generation X and the boomers. We all in this big fight. It seems like that I've been doing these podcasts I do one show called These Damn Millennials. We're actually trying to get across to them and talk with these guys. What do you think that from an elder's position that we need to do to unlearn so that we can work better with these groups of people?
Biggest mistake we made for those under 30, and especially those under 20, the same black community that complains about young people who have no spirituality, no community service ethic, no concern about nobody but themselves, completely addicted to entertainment, technology, and social media. We raised them that way. We raised our kids to believe that in order to be somebody, you got to make a lot of money. We raised them to be conspicuous consumers. And now that they are exactly what we raised them to be, we're asking what's wrong with them. We are. The children are a printout of what the adults have always believed anyway about themselves. If we want to get them back, we got to be able to provide them with resources and opportunities. Without resources and opportunities, you don't get their attention. So my question would be, what jobs we got? What training programs we got? What small business grants we got? You can get them, but you got to have something beyond religion and culture. In the church, we just going to give them religion. In the community, we want to give them culture. It's not enough. Do you have resources and opportunities? Because as long as the white man got resources and opportunities, he's going to stand with them. The reason they could take the best of us is because they got resources and opportunities. Until we organize our money and create some systems and programs, we'll never get our young people back.
Is there still a generational divide, or is it a distraction for us to not get organized? Or do you think we having a real generational divide amongst us as black community?
We have a divide, but here's a bigger issue. Part of the problem is most black people walk around with an invisible insurance card in their pocket. And that means that as long as I stay prayed up to Jesus or Muhammad, I really don't have to worry about anything. It's that type of docility that is one of the side effects of religion.
Okay.
Because it's not the religion itself, it's the way it's taught to black people. Religion becomes a weapon against progressive behavior. Black people say, just pray in Christ, God. No, you are here to be an agent in your own liberation. You don't just sit there. So that's number one. We got to change the mindset. Number two, we got to recognize that we're not going to take everybody with us. There's black people who will kill you before they leave white people alone. Jesus said you got to do what? Go fishing. So we got to go fishing for the people who want to be saved and who we can save. Work with them. I would say in Cleveland, maybe 1 out of every 10 black folks, or let's say 2 out of every 10 black folks we can work with. The other 8, you got to leave them be. Knowing who to spend your time with is most important, right?
That's correct.
When I got my doctorate, right, and they train you in therapy, one of the first things they teach you is your first therapy session. You got to decide if you want to waste any more of your time with that person. Your first therapy session, you have to make a determination as to whether or not this person really wants to change. Because remember, the therapists don't change you. I'm going to help you change yourself. I'm going to guide you through the process of getting over your bipolar, your borderline, anxiety, your depression, your alcoholism, your opioid addiction, your low self-esteem, your domestic abuse. I'm going to guide you through it. I'm not going to fix your problems. You have to fix them. So if you have somebody who ain't ready to change, you tell them, don't come back. There's no need to pay me for therapy no more until you're ready to become a better version of yourself. Here's the thing about the devil. You have to face the devil in order to get to God. The devil is your traumas. The devil is your addictions. The devil are those behaviors you don't want nobody to know about, right? You got to confront them. God is on the other side. The devil gonna give you one hell of a fight. He gonna knock your ass down a couple times. You might gotta attempt to stop smoking 5 times before you stop, because he gonna keep whispering in your ear, this menthol is what you need right now. Forget all that other stuff. So you're gonna have to go to war with the devil. That's a hell of a war. It might take you 5 years to win that war, but once you win it, you ain't never got to worry about going back to that door, because once God take your hand, he got you forever.
Dr. Umar, what do you think is the most thing that people misunderstand about you? People was to say something.
They mistake my passion for hatred.
Okay.
Because people say, you're so angry. No, I'm not. I'm passionate. This conversation we have, there's no anger here. This is passion and love for my people, because I know we got the potential. There's a proverb, African proverb. It says, you will know when God is done with us, because he won't let any more babies be born into the world. Every time you see a newborn black child, that is God telling you, I ain't gave up on y'all yet. As long as our women can still birth, there's still a chance for us to fix it all.
What you scared of?
Of leaving this earth having not mattered to my people's liberation as much as I should have. That's my biggest.
And if you could have coffee with somebody and talk to them until the coffee got cold, who would it be?
It would be nobody walking the earth, because I'm not impressed.
It have to be.
It would be ancestors. So if I could put 5 at the table, right here.
Coffee gonna get cold, so you're gonna have to talk fast.
Nat Turner, Frederick Douglass, Harriet Tubman, Ida B. Wells, and either Marcus Garvey or Jean-Jacques Dessalines of the Haitian Revolution.
Last but not least, what's the best advice anybody ever gave you?
Keep doing what you're doing. People you don't know are watching and listening.
Excellent. Excellent, brother. I want to appreciate you for coming on our program,
Yes,
man.
sir.
You did an excellent job.
Black
man.
queens forever,
Ever.
snow bunnies never.
And as we end our program, as always, Doctor, we give you an opportunity to look right in that camera, man. You get a chance to tell everybody. Make sure you let them know where they could get your book at.
Yes, indeed.
All of that
Yes,
kind
indeed.
of information and stuff, and we're going to push that out for you.
Black Cleveland, Black Ohio. This is Dr. Umar Ifatunde, the Prince of Pan-Africanism, back in the city. Make sure you support the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy. Hit your PayPal, paypal.me/FDMG Academy, paypal.me/FDMG Academy. Check a money order, P.O. Box 9634, Wilmington, Delaware, 19809. Any parents out there who need any type of help with your children, education, mental health, autism, ADHD, intellectual disability, math disability, behavior problem. If you need some expert advice from your school psychologist, you can reach me by phone, 215-989-9858, 215-989-9858. United, we can do everything. Divided, we can do nothing. Peace and Pan-Africanism.
All right, y'all, that was Dr. Umar. He's helping us kick off. He's our first speaker on our whole plan of our series on our Black America 2025. Are we thriving or just surviving? All the information he talked about, links and everything, will be in the description so that you can get information and you'll get a notification when the series come out. But don't forget to get this book. It's a really good book, and you should get that, and we'll talk to you soon. Peace.